Gene survival depended on nurturing our family and on doing deals with our peers. The "I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine" principle.
I don't think we need religion to explain morality, and if anything, it just gets in the way. Morality is a lot older than religion. Humans have an innate moral sense, or a range of moral senses that you can think of as sophisticated versions of the kind of social instincts you see in chimps and other social species.
What sort of morality or proto-morality would you expect to find in a chimpanzee troop?
We find that they live in family groups. The mothers look after their kids. They work in teams. And also, chimps are particularly good at competing for status through what's been called public service. So they compete for status not just through brute force, but by being good leaders, by intervening to settle disputes.
What are the main evolutionary reasons for cooperating and being altruistic?
Working together often produces mutual benefits for those that are involved. So you can often just do better by working in a team than you can by working by yourself.
Perhaps it is our genetic inheritance that explains why those of us with no allegiance to a holy book or a pope or an ayatollah to tell us what is good still manage to ground ourselves in a moral consensus which is surprisingly widely agreed. As social animals, we've worked out that we wouldn't want to live in a society where it was acceptable to rape, murder, or steal. We have a moral conscience and a mutual empathy, and it is constantly evolving. Religious or not, we have changed in unison and continue to change in our attitude to what is right and what is wrong. 50 years ago, just about everybody in Britain was somewhat racist. Now, only a few people are. 50 years ago, it was impossible for gay people to walk along the street hand in hand. Now it's easy. Some of us lag behind the advancing wave of moral standards, and some of us are ahead. But all of us in the 21st century are ahead of our counterparts from the time of Abraham, Muhammad, or St. Paul. The progressive shift often emerges in opposition to religion. It's driven by improved education and then expressed by newspaper editorials, television soap operas, parliamentary speeches, judicial rulings, and novels.
I guess my starting point would be the brain is responsible for consciousness. And we could be reasonably sure that when that brain ceases to be, when it falls apart and decomposes, that'll be the end of us. From that, quite a lot of things follow. I think especially morally, we are the very privileged owners of a brief spark of consciousness. And we therefore have to take responsibility for it. You cannot rely, as Christians or Muslims do, on a world elsewhere, a paradise to which one can work towards and maybe make sacrifices, and crucially make sacrifices of other people. We have a marvelous gift, and you see it develop in children, this ability to become aware that other people have minds just like your own, and feelings that are just as important as your own. And this gift of empathy seems to me to be the building block of our moral system.
I profoundly agree with you, and I've always felt that one of the things that's wrong with religion is that it teaches us to be satisfied with answers which are not really answers at all.
And if you have a sacred text that tells you how the world began or what the relationship is between this sky god and you, it does curtail your curiosity. It cuts off a source of wonder. The loveliness of the world in its wondrousness is not apparent to me in Islam or Christianity and all the other major religions.
To an atheist like Ian McEwan, there is no all-seeing, all-loving God who keeps us free from harm. But atheism is not a recipe for despair. I think the opposite. By disclaiming the idea of a next life, we can take more excitement in this one. The here and now is not something to be endured before eternal bliss or damnation. The here and now is all we have, an inspiration to make the most of it. So atheism is life-affirming in a way religion can never be. Look around you. Nature demands our attention, begs us to explore, to question. Religion can provide only facile, ultimately unsatisfying answers. Science, in constantly seeking real explanations, reveals the true majesty of our world in all its complexity. People sometimes say, there must be more than just this world, than just this life. But how much more do you want? We are going to die, and that makes us the lucky ones. Most people are never going to die because they're never going to be born. The number of people who could be here, in my place, outnumber the sand grains of Sahara. If you think about all the different ways in which our genes could be permuted, you and I are quite grotesquely lucky to be here. The number of events that had to happen in order for you to exist, in order for me to exist. We are privileged to be alive, and we should make the most of our time on this world.